Rooftoppers, Chapter 6, Part 2. The train was twice the size Sophie had expected, and green. It was the green that emeralds and dragons usually come in, which felt to Sophie like a good omen. "Look for carriage 6, Sophie," said Charles. "You are compartment A. I'm told it is usually reserved for the children of the Duke of Kent, but this summer they are shooting things in Scotland. You have it to yourself." They edged past porters with straight backs and starched collars towards the front of the engine. There was a narrow corridor running the whole length of the train, with sliding doors leading to the compartments. Sophie tried not to get in the way, and tried not to look too excited, and tried not to look too much like an illegal runaway. None of the three was easy. "Here," Charles maneuvered her cello case through the door and turned. His whole face was sparking. "It was the only one left, Sophie. I hope you don't dislike it." Sophie peered round his shoulder. Then she stared. "Dislike it? It's like an imaginary game." People were pressing past in the corridor outside. Sophie ignored them. "It's so gilt. It's a palace." Charles laughed and pulled her inside and shut the door on the rest of the train. A very small palace, the travel-size version perhaps. The carriage was beautiful. Everything was child-sized and made with the delicacy and detail of witchcraft. Sophie tried to look as if she was used to such things, at least while the porter was watching them. But it was impossible, for it was the most polished, clean, gold-edged thing she had ever seen. The pillows were round and fat as a goose's stomach. The mirror was edged in gold. In fact, there was almost as much gold edge as mirror. Sophie tapped it. It sounded solid. "And see your chamber pot," said Charles. "It's worth a look." She squatted to look under the bed. There, buckled securely to the wall, was a golden chamber pot, with red carnations painted round the rim. "See," said Charles, "even your nighttime peeing is accessorized." "But where do you sleep?" "Here also." The carriage had 2 bunks, but they were child-size. Most of Charles would dangle off the end. "I will share a bunk with an undertaker from Luxembourg. A lugubrious sort of fate, but I won't die of it. And after all, it could have been worse. He could have been Belgian." Charles smiled down at her. "They were the only beds available for 3 weeks. I thought it would be better than the itch of waiting." Yes, waiting would have been impossible, she thought. She would have died. Yes, thank you. "Now, all serene?" asked Charles. Having no handkerchief, he fished out a clean sock and blew his nose on it. It sounded to Sophie like the trumpet of hope. "You have everything you need?" "Yeah, I think so. Although, actually," her stomach rumbled, "have we got anything to eat?" "Of course, how could I forget? The best part of any journey is the food. There's a restaurant car, but it won't open for a few hours. I smuggled in as much as I could." Charles crossed to the wooden desk, set into the wall, and began to empty his pockets. "First, 6 apples, then sausage rolls, shedding their pastry all over his coat, and a thick slab of yellow cheese. From the back of his fob watch, Charles extracted a screw of salt. Finally, like a conjurer, he took from under his hat half a roast chicken wrapped in oiled paper. "Oh, heaven! Oh, wonderful!" Sophie added her biscuits to the pile, but kept back her Chelsea bun for later. She arranged the rest into a tower. "There!" It reached up to her nose. "This is perfect. Now, have we got everything?" Sophie had just taken a mouthful of cheese. The taste was fantastic, salty and creamy both together. The train shuddered and began to steam forwards. She had Charles and roast chicken and an adventure. Sophie spoke around her mouthful. "Everything," she said. At Dover, they changed from the train to a boat. The weather was choppy. The sea rumbled in front of them. It was grey and smelt wild. Sophie tried not to look down at it. She tried not to think of dead women. "All serene?" said Charles. Sophie nodded, but she couldn't speak. To make things worse, amongst the passengers on the boat was a policeman. It was impossible, she told herself, that he had come for her. He was probably on holiday, but he still made her shiver. To be out of his sight, Sophie inched away down the boat until she was alone on the outside deck. She tried to ignore the sea. Ignoring the sea, though, is like ignoring a man with a gun. It cannot be done. Stretched out as far as the horizon, and though she squinted, Sophie couldn't see France. She gripped the rail and tried not to panic. Charles saw her face from halfway down the ship. His footsteps made no sound, and the hand he laid on hers was as gentle as a mother's. "Listen," he said. "Can you hear that?" Sophie could only hear the sea. What? Fear made her more snappish than she had wanted to be. "What am I listening for, anyway?" "A murmuration," said Charles. "A good omen." "A whateration?" "A murmuration. When the sea and wind murmur at time with one another, like people laughing in private." "There again. Did you hear it?" Sophie was not convinced. Only people murmur. Sea roars, wind blows. No, sometimes the sea and the wind murmur. The two are old friends. Oh, Sophie unpeeled her hand from the rail and gripped Charles's. She breathed in his overcoat smell and straightened to her spine. When they sound together, he said, it means luck, a murmuration, a good omen.